I woke up this morning and I went for my first smoke of the day, and one of the first things I heard was what sounded like all the birds in the area making noise, but not their normal calls or songs. It sounded like there was something going on. If you've ever lived near a wooded area or out in the country, you know exactly what that sound means. A larger predator, maybe a hawk, an owl, or a crow, was threatening a nest. That means birds from entirely different species were flying in, putting their own lives on the line, and teaming up to aggressively chase the predator away. In biology, this is called mobbing behavior. Now, how many times have you heard people justifying selflessness, corporate greed, or ruthless behavior by throwing their hands up and saying, hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world, that's just human nature, it's the natural order of things. They love to quote survival of the fittest to make hyper-competition look like a universal law. When they do that, they are completely ignoring half of the equation. In nature, cooperation, mutual aid, and collective defense are just as fundamental to survive as competition. In fact, if we look closely at nature and our own history, we can find a direct blueprint for how everyday people can stand up, band together, and push back against the modern elites who oppress us. Let's look at the animal kingdom first, because the examples of collective resistance are mind-blowing. Take meerkats for instance. While the group searches for food, at least one meerkat acts as a dedicated sentry. It stands on its hind legs at the highest point, completely exposed to the predators scanning the sky. When it spots danger, it screams out a warning bark. It actively puts a target on its own back so the collective can dive for safety. If a predator gets too close to the burrow, the meerkats don't scatter. They stand shoulder to shoulder, hissing and rocking back and forth, turning themselves into one massive, terrifying collective organism to fight the threat off. Or look at African buffalo. When lions target a calf or a weakened member of the herd, the buffalo don't just run away. The entire herd will turn around, form a massive wall, and actively charge a pride of lions to rescue their own. Even vampire bats practice a form of social insurance. They have an insanely high metabolism. If they don't get a meal within 48 hours, they starve. If a bat comes back empty-handed, another roost-mate will literally regurgitate a portion of their own food to keep them alive. Not only that, but they remember who helped them. They take care of the ones who take care of others. When people reduce nature to just violence and dominance, they miss the point. Altruism and community defense are highly successful evolutionary strategies. Group survival frequently requires individual sacrifice. That brings us to human beings. For centuries, philosophers and politicians have tried to convince us that deep down, human nature is purely selfish, brutal, and competitive. But modern anthropology and archaeology proved the exact opposite. If early humans had been solitary and hyper-competitive with each other, we would have gone extinct. Physically, a lone human is a terrible predator. We have no claws, no sharp teeth, no thick fur, and barely any sprinting speed. Against massive Ice Age predators, a single human was just a snack. Our primary evolutionary adaptation wasn't individual strength, it was hyper-cooperation. Just like those birds outside this morning, early humans practiced collective mobbing to drive off apex predators. We survived because we practiced alloparenting, where the entire tribe, not just the mother, invests in protecting and raising children. We survived because of food-sharing networks. Hunting was unpredictable. If a hunter came back empty-handed, the tribe fed them, because they knew the next week the roles could be reversed. Hoarding was met with intense social disapproval. We have definitive proof of this in the fossil records. Archaeologists have found ancient remains like the famous Shenandoah 1 Neanderthal fossil of individuals who suffered severe, disabling injuries early in life, such as blindness, a withered arm, or a crippling gait. Yet they lived into their 40s. They couldn't hunt and they couldn't defend themselves. Their communities actively chose to carry them, feed them, and protect them for decades. We didn't conquer the planet because we were the meanest, most ruthless apes. We conquered it because we were the most supportive. Cooperation is literally our superpower. That being said, how do we take this biological reality and use it today against the modern elites, corporate billionaires, and oppressive systems that keep us divided? Anthropologist Christopher Bohm studied early human societies and found that our ancestors maintained egalitarian communities through what we call a counter-dominance hierarchy. Humans have always despised bullies and tyrants, using specific coordinated strategies to keep aspiring elites in check. We can do that exact same thing today using 4 key strategies. First, we practice modern mobbing. Powerful elites rely on keeping us isolated, cynical, and fighting amongst ourselves over cultural scraps. They hide their corruption behind complex algorithms, legal walls, and PR campaigns. Modern mobbing means using our decentralized networks to shine a massive coordinated spotlight on corporate greed and political corruption. When thousands of people simultaneously amplify an issue, boycott a predatory service, or protect a whistleblower, we break their control over the narrative. Second, we build mutual aid as infrastructure. Modern dependence on hyper-capitalist systems is by design. If you rely entirely on massive corporations for your food, housing, healthcare, and basic survival, you are easy to control. It's hard to strike or protest if it means losing your home or your access to food. Just like the vampire bat sharing meals, we need to build robust mutual aid networks, community gardens, localized childcare systems, and utilize independent crowdfunding. By reducing our absolute dependence on exploitive systems, we build the material security required to resist them. Thirdly, we enforce reverse dominance through labor. In early human tribes, if someone tried to hoard all the resources or bully the group, the community didn't submit. They collectively withdrew the benefits of the community from that person. They used ridicule, ostracization, and eventual exile. A billionaire or a CEO has absolutely no power without the collective labor of their workers and the collective capital of their consumers. When workers unionize, when communities organize mass labor stoppages, or when we execute coordinated consumer boycotts, we are withholding the meat of our labor from the hoarders until fair distribution is established. And finally, by caring for the wounded. When people take risks to fight back, whether they are organizing a union, whistleblowing, or protesting, the elites will always retaliate by trying to destroy their livelihoods, blacklisting them, or burying them in legal fees. A movement is only as strong as its ability to protect the front lines. Building robust strike funds, legal defense funds, and community support networks ensures that the cost of standing up to power doesn't fall solely on a few brave individuals. When the elites realize that targeting one of us triggers a defensive ring from all of us, their ability to intimidate crumbles. The people at the top want us to believe that hierarchy, cutthroat competition, and submission to authority are the natural order of things. They want us to believe we are inherently selfish creatures who can't trust one another, when in fact, biology, history, and the very birds outside our windows tell us a completely different story. We are wired to cooperate. We are built to protect each other. And if we change the story from every man for himself to we survive together, the entire structure of oppression starts to crack. But that's the end of the script I have here. I wanted to talk about this because I want to focus on finding real-world examples that help not only back up what I've been talking about egalitarian communism, but also examples people can reach to